If there's someone in your life who is religious, intolerant, stubborn, or belligerent, and they like to put their views and their thoughts on you, and it's their way or the highway, and constantly tell you what is right and how your beliefs and your way of thinking are wrong, how do you handle this and maintain a high frequency and try to live as your higher self? For something like this, I think it involves three things. It involves setting healthy boundaries, setting expectations, and having a possible exit plan. Setting boundaries with others just simply means letting them know what you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate, and then explaining to that person the consequences if they overstep their boundaries with you. For example, hey mom, I understand that religion is a really important part of your life, but I'm not there right now in my life. And I understand that you might be really excited about it and think my life is going in the wrong direction if I don't agree with you. But this is where we are going to have to agree to disagree. And I like spending time with you. I like talking to you, but I'm not open for discussion about this topic anymore. And now here's where you set the expectation. And by the way, mom, if you do insist on engaging in this type of conversation with me after I've just told you that I'm not open to it, then I'm going to have to leave. I'll just pick up my things right then and there, and I'll leave, or I'll end our conversation. And by the way, mom, you can choose to feel any way you want about this, but this is a boundary that I'm setting for me and my mental health and my peace. Apparently, religion has brought you tremendous peace, and this is how I'm telling you I can keep my peace, and I appreciate you respecting my request. Now, mom can choose to act or react any way she chooses, and you have no control over that, and it shouldn't bother you no matter how she chooses to react. Mom could be accepting about what you said. Mom could be really upset or angry about it or judgmental about it, or she could be passive aggressive about it. How mom or the other person chooses to act or react is not your problem. And you having an attachment and needing them to act a certain way, that's an issue with you. How they choose to react is completely on them, and based on how they react, it comes back to you. The ball is now in your court. You get to decide if you want to continue having a relationship with that particular person, mom or anyone else. I've said this before in many of my videos, but just because someone is family does not give them a right to treat you any way they would like. It does not give them a free pass. So in this case, if mom chooses not to accept that and refuses and just continues on with the same behavior, you need to act on the consequence that you set in advance. So you communicated your boundary, you set the expectation, and now you need to work on your exit plan. So maybe that is ending the phone conversation right then and there by saying, oh, mom, you just broached a topic that I told you I'm not willing to talk about. I have to go now. Goodbye. Or if you're in person, it's doing the same thing and saying, oh, mom, remember, we're not talking about that, so I'm going to have to leave. Grab your stuff and go. It's not coaxing them and saying, mom, come on, remember, I told you I don't want to do this, because that's allowing the other person to steal your energy. You already set the boundary. You already set the expectation. They're an adult. They don't need to be reminded and told again. It's like them trying to cross the boundary and get away with not having any consequences. And if you don't enforce the boundary with the consequences you set out, then that's on you. Then you're allowing that other person to steal your energy and cross your boundaries. This type of thing really is a two-way street, and people will only treat you how you allow them to treat you. Do you set boundaries with other people? Do you allow them to cross your boundaries again and again? Or do you enforce your boundaries and keep your word? So if someone is triggering you by the way they treat you, it's on you to remedy this. Establish your boundary, set and communicate the expectations with the other person, and then have an exit plan if needed, no matter who they are. And in all of this, just remember, there's no need to get emotional about anything the other person chooses to do or not do. This whole process is set in order for you to keep your peace. So you definitely don't want to be losing your peace over this and getting angry because they didn't respect your boundary. Again, it's their choice if they respect your boundary, and you are not attached to whether or not they choose to respect your boundary. You let it go without emotion, without being upset. You end the conversation or you pick up your things and leave. And if that's not easy for you, then that would be where your lesson lies.